Let's get started. Hope you all have seen the demo video that I posted on the YouTube, or you might have attended one of those demos that I've organized in the past. But still I'm taking you through my profile. That I have 10 years of IT experience, and my name is Venkat Kurela. My full name is Venkatramaya Kurela. The number that you see on my screen is the only number that I own. The personal, the private, the training related, everything is on the same contact. And you can find me on LinkedIn. That's his profile. You just can search with Venkat Kurela name and you'll find my profile. I have 10 years of IT experience into different areas. I worked as started my career as a monitoring engineer. Was monitoring the physical and virtual environment. From there, I got to know, and it was my passion, in fact, to explore things in virtualization space. And later, cloud computing is just an extension to the virtualization. That way I've got an opportunity, I say, to work on, to do the POCs and to implement it in the production environment for different customers, different sizes. So the certifications that you would find are actually the actual certifications, not like the ones that you find in the regular market, that people just keep the certifications because they wanted to. You will find the original copies of these certifications in my LinkedIn profile. You can find the candidate ID and all that information. Otherwise, I'm into all verticals of the data center, starting from the networking, storage, server hardware platform, the operating system, and then virtualization one layer above, cloud computing, the top layer where we operate today, right? So these are very few certifications that I actually able to make it to. There are many other I've planned for, but time is a constraint and things really doesn't work. Uh, things is, I mean, right, the practical things are definitely different from the plan that we do. So once again, seems Anjali is not able to listen to us. Okay, she rejoined the class, that's fine. Okay, so don't mind that I'm spending too much of time in explaining about my certifications and all that stuff, just not to create some hype, but yes, definitely to make you motivated and to tell you that I am the right person to talk about the cloud technologies, and you'd be given definitely a holistic knowledge, not just from a single technology or a topic, but when we discuss about the topics, that's services from compute area, storage, networking, database, uh, load balancers, or self-healing application and whatnot. Uh, Services from different areas. I'll try to give you the root level knowledge, the very base or the fundamentals level, till the expert level design considerations and implementation considerations. Right. That's the idea of spending some time in explaining you my career and the certification path. And then, as you already saw this slide in the demo video that I posted on the YouTube, uh, I can post it again in this chat window so that those who did not uh, go through it, you still can go there and watch it through, or you can even pass on that information to your friends, colleagues, right? So I said copy link and I'm pasting it on the chat window. Okay, so use that link to watch my full length demo video, so that you can get to know more about the cloud computing and the learning path to the cloud. So now that you choose to join me from the basics program, where people from non-IT background, or the freshers, people from application support, development, or maybe the process related people, in short, people who don't know the fundamentals of the data center technologies, can come and join me. And this is approximately a 50 hours of learning program, 50 hours of learning program. And from here, there are 6 topics. I'll tell you what are those 6 topics. There are 6 topics part of the basics, which would go approximately 14 hours of learning. And from here we go to the AWS level discussions. Those are 3 different courses. One is the fundamentals of AWS for system admins. Second is architecting on AWS, that is associate level, and the system operations on AWS. Okay, so this is a second level that you hit, and then you complete your certification program and you hit this level, which is your target. So I can say this is what you choose to join me. Not If you already working as a system admin, network admin, storage admin, virtualization admin, or those who know the fundamentals of the uh, data center technologies, then yeah, you can come and join me the AWS concepts. Maybe after 5 to 6 days, that's when we completed the basics, right? Yes, basics and the AWS concepts are sold at separate cost because AWS is just 35 hours of training and the basics is additional 14 hours of training. So part of the basics, these are the 6 topics that we'll be talking in detail. That is server hardware plus, which is more about uh, letting you know what is a server form factors like tower server, rack server, blade servers, converged solutions, hyper converged solutions. It is the evolution of the server hardware, and from the basic, that is tower server, till that is hyper converged server, I'll take you through. And then the server architecture, the motherboard architecture, what different components you can find on the motherboard. And then it used to be SMB, semantic multiprocessing motherboard architecture. Now it is NUMA architecture, non-uniform memory architecture. Well, what is this, right? How does it matters me if it is a SMP or NUMA? Me being the cloud admin, I go and operate at a top level, but I don't care about the physical hardware. Yes, but if you wanted to have the long lasting career in IT, especially in the cloud admin profile, and you wanted to be a well paid and highly demanded individual, then yes, you must know these basics, because when you have to architect your application, you must know all this in detail. That's the idea. So like I said, this course is completely different from the regular trainings that you find it on online or the instructor led classes, but this is completely designed for you success. Like I said, the, there are two things of learning side. One is learning a given course outline. Second thing, learning job profile that takes to start yourself in IT market. So this is a job oriented course. This is not teaching you things that you find on the blueprint of AWS certified solution architect, not teaching you things that you would find in server hardware training alone, but this is a mix of all topics that are needed to get start with the cloud training, to get start with the AWS job hunt. That's the idea of it. That's where I'm taking you from the server hardware and then to the networking concepts, because you must know about networking, at least the topics that I'm going to demonstrate you part of the networking. So server hardware plus is a one session. It may go for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, depends upon the interaction level and the real-time scenarios that I take to explain you, because I don't use the same examples every day to teach my people, because I'm not um, a born trainer. I'm a working professional and I train people. It's my passion. So today I may think of an example that I can demonstrate to you, and tomorrow I may find a different example. So it time depends on the example that I choose to demonstrate you about the topics. That's the reason it is a one session. I'll complete it in one day, no matter it is 1.5 hours or 2 hours. And then we move on to the networking concepts. That is definitely two classes, two sessions. Okay, so the fundamentals of networking. That's where I'll tell you more about maybe the starting from the beginning, how you connect your devices, different computers, what kind of equipment do you need? Maybe the network interface cards, yes, the network interface cards and the Cat5 cables, the copper cables that you find to connect the machines, and then switches, routers, firewalls, VPN devices, load balancers, right? So we go through all the chain of talking about the devices and the use cases of them, and how these devices are named in the cloud. For example, router in a traditional data center is actually called as VPC in AWS cloud, is called as VNet in Azure cloud, is called VDS in VMware data center virtualization, right? So there are names. The names are different in the cloud than you have it in the traditional data center. So if you know the components in detail at the basic level, then it is easy for you to understand the cloud concepts and to become much familiar. Okay, so from networking, we move on to the storage topics, and then storage is also two classes that we do. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I say storage. We started the essentials of the storage, maybe the very base device, that is a hard disk. Different type of hard disks, different cables that you can use to connect hard disk to the motherboard, right? And then different RAID levels you can use to make more usable capacity and to bring more IO performance or throughput performance levels. And how when you group hard disks and you use RAID 1 and you group hard disks you use RAID 5, how the performance uh, or the usable performance will differ when you use RAID 1 and RAID 5. What are the native uh, what are the pros and cons of each of those RAID levels that we have? That's when it makes sense. From there we move on to the protocols like SAN, NAS, ISCA, CFC, BOE, the advantages and the disadvantages of the individual technologies. What is a SAN? Right, it provides you the block level access of the storage. Well, what is the block storage? It is accessing the raw hard disk capacity over the network. How is this possible? Yes, it is possible with the SAN equipment that you use. I'll explain you in detail when we go to the topic, but yes. And then from protocols level, because when I have to demonstrate, when I have to teach you EBS, which is a storage offering in Amazon Cloud, one liner you will find in there is EBS is a persistent block level storage. And then if you don't understand what is that block level storage, how it benefits you, then you will not understand. And demonstrating you the block level access or block level storage, helping you understand that concept from the root level is not the scope of learning from AWS standpoint, right? And even from the networking, I say NACLs are similar to the network access control list in your router. But I will not explain you all that, go down to the router and explain you all that, right? That's not in scope of learning for AWS training, but yes, that is in the scope of learning here in AWS with Venkat Kurela. From protocol, we move on to the RAID, like I said, sorry, from RAID, we move on to protocol. From there, I'll try to correlate you the object level storage, the file level storage, and the block level storage. From there, we move on to the fundamentals of server operating system. Here, I'll demonstrate you different type of server operating systems that we have and differences between the server operating system and the client operating system. What activities that you must know as a cloud admin from an operating system standpoint. Should you learn Microsoft operating system? Should you learn Linux distributions? What is that? And why should you actually learn all these things? Okay. Well, being with the introduction of virtualization, the consolidation is started in the data center technologies. Okay. So uh, when the virtualization was actually being adopted in the year of since 2006, it's widely being adopted since 2006, 2007, 10 by 11 it has become one of the mandatory component. And then virtualization engineers are dealing with your server hardware, networking, storage, virtualization layer, virtual machines, and some business critical applications like SQL, SharePoint, or any other service where you can just log in and restart the services or find out the health status of the machines. That was the scope of a virtualization engineer in a traditional data center. When the profile is further extended to a cloud administrator, yes, you still need to know all the components that I demonstrated to you, and some more additional responsibilities got added here. That's the reason you are no longer just a virtualization engineer or just a cloud engineer, but you must know the associated technologies. That's the idea here, right? Believe me guys, I can give you the best knowledge in all these areas that I'm talking about. Okay, so operating system fundamentals is one class. Guys, remember, I am not going to teach you the Windows operating system. I'm not going to teach you the Linux operating system. Okay, don't expect this session to give you the detailed operating system level, server admin level knowledge and experience. But my idea here is to make you understand the importance of the server administration activities and what should you be able to do in the operating system area, the common tasks. From there, go to the virtualization. This is also one class, so that uh, Virtualization is a key, one of the key technology for cloud computing. If you do not have virtualization, you cannot have the cloud computing implemented. It's a mandatory component because uh, you take VMware Cloud, they have ESXi as a hypervisor, as a virtualization layer. If you do not have ESX, there is no cloud from VMware. You have Hyper-V from Microsoft. If there is no Hyper-V, there is no Azure cloud. And you have so far you have Citrix Zen Server as the hypervisor for AWS cloud, right? And now with the partnership, the official partnership announcement from VMware and AWS, you would see the ESXi being used as the hypervisor. But yes, even Azure must be using one of the hypervisors. Sorry, even AWS must be using one of the hypervisors. We look at Oracle Cloud, they have OVM server as a virtualization layer. Look at OpenStack, they have KVM from Linux as the virtualization layer. So one point that I can tell you for sure is without virtualization, there is no cloud computing. Cloud computing is 200% dependent on your virtualization, right? So I'll help you understand what is virtualization, different types of virtualization, and of all those types, server virtualization is a key factor without which you will not be able to implement your virtual desktop virtualization, application virtualization, network virtualization, your cloud computing. So server virtualization is key for all these different forms of virtualization. And then I'll help you understand the benefits or advantages of the server virtualization. From there, I'll demonstrate a bit about VMware virtualization, because VMware is the first company to invent virtualization, and they are the market leaders in the virtualization space, and of course in the cloud product making company too, but they are not into services so far. Yes, they are global market leader. When you look at the people into the services, in the cloud services, yes, AWS is the market leader, no doubt about it. From there, we move on to the cloud computing, and this is one class or one session I say. This is more about the fundamentals of cloud computing. What is the cloud computing in general? So that definition or knowledge that you gain from that class can be correlated to the any public cloud platform that you have today, including your Google, Rackspace, Oracle, your AWS, Azure, VMware, whatnot, right? So there are six qualities, the mandatory qualities of the cloud computing. Okay. So if I have a server at my home and I connect it to the internet, and if I start calling it as public cloud or cloud computing, it's not, and I cannot call it. There are six mandatory qualities that are mandated by the international organization who maintains the standards of cloud computing. And if you, being the provider, have those six qualities or the characteristics, then only you are called as a public cloud provider. Otherwise, you are not. So you must have to have those six characteristics. What are six? Well, you will get to know in the classes. Okay, and the difference between, I mean, there are different delivery models, different type of clouds, and the difference between outsourcing a project and renting the services in the form of cloud computing. Which one should you go for, and why people are going towards the cloud computing instead of having own data centers, and how that is making the industry jobless, how that is creating a lot of opportunities in the cloud again. So that's the kind of discussion that we will have in the cloud computing area, and these are the six topics that will contribute to uh, the basics one at one. Okay, so total of how many, 8 sessions that we're gonna do in the basics program. So each session is at least of 1.5 hours to 2 hours, depending upon uh, the examples or your interaction levels, like I said, in that day. Otherwise, these are the 6 topics, the basics that we're gonna cover. The next thing is the AWS concept. Okay, so even in AWS, we start with the very basics, that is the introduction level. So I just give one liner called introduction, but this is what this is more about your fundamentals of AWS. Okay, this is where I'll tell you how secure the AWS cloud platform is, how uh, I'll tell you how the global infrastructure of AWS is spread across. These are 2 classes that we do. One is more about the introduction, how you create a free tier, what is a free tier, what services are free part of that, and how to create an account, free account, and start using the management console of AWS. The second day is to tell you the global infrastructure, to explain you the global infrastructure of AWS. That is, how many data centers do they have, and what do they call a data center? How many different places do they have the data centers, and what kind of content delivery networks do they have, right? And then we get into the very first service, that is EC2 instances and AMI. It is a complete one-day class. It may be close to 2 hours, but yes, it's to tell you about the compute service, that is EC2 instance, which is nothing but a virtual server in the cloud. The theoretical discussion, right? And the other day we do, I mean the next day we do the practicals. This is one day again, the lab of EC2 instance. From there we go to VPC. This is again one class. VPC is a networking service. It will help you understand the complete network as a service from the AWS standpoint. And then the VPC labs will be 2 classes, and theoretical discussion is 1 class. So you can understand it's close to 5 hours, maybe more than 5 hours of discussion only in the networking area. That is to make you very much perfect in the networking. I'll give you scenario based questions, I mean scenario based lab examples that we're gonna see here. Okay, and then from there we look at the storage, the block level storage offering, that is EBS. So both the theoretical discussion and the lab is one day. From there we move on to the object level storage offering, that is S3. It's again one day class. That's more about the S3, the object level storage. How can you set up the buckets, how to use, how to upload the objects into the bucket, or how to set up the static website, etc., etc. And then the CloudWatch is a monitoring solution. You have, I mean, you can integrate CloudWatch with all services here, including EC2, VPC, EBS, S3, RDS, Route 53, auto scaling, ELB, identity, whatnot. All AWS services can be integrated with CloudWatch. Okay, so I'll tell you how to configure those alarms and how to set up those notifications, etc., etc. And then you have got IAM, Identity and Access Management. How can you allow a user or a program to log into your AWS account securely? Okay, that's your IAM. So it's going to be one class, both theoretical discussion and the labs. So I'll practically demonstrate you how can you create your own account, log into the AWS, or how can you enable multi-factor authentication to secure, to create more secure environment to log in, be it the individual or a person or an application to log into your AWS services. And ELB is a load balancing feature, which is again one day that we'll be discussing about it. So I deploy a test application, because let's say ELB is a load balancer. I can tell you, hey, you minimum need to have 2 servers to do the load balancing, and your load balancer will do load balancing. If I just say that word, and how can you understand it, right? Well, I'm going to set up a sample application that will practically demonstrate you the load balancing is happening or not, and uh, how can you deploy EC2 instances across different data centers to do the load balancing. And in case if one server goes down, your ELB identifies that the server is failed, and it will not forward any further traffic to the failed instance, but it only use the healthy instance. This is between the data centers in the same geographic location. But let's say if you wanted to have your application to tolerate the failure of the entire region, the entire geographical location fails, you still wanted to have the application availability. That's when you can host an application in US, and you can host another server in India. So you have 2 servers supporting the same application, one in US, the other is in India. Well, if data center in India entirely collapses, you still can route your users to US, but there the ELB will not come into the picture. You have something called Route 53 to help you. Okay, so this is one day class again, Route 53. That is to not just to convert your IP address into host name, your host name into IP address, but to route the traffic or to do the load balancing as well. So there are 5 routing policies that are available part of Route 53, which will make much sense when you have the distributed application environment, the application that is scattered around the globe, right? And before that, there is a topic called auto scaling that deploys the servers, number of servers automatically and then cut down the servers, I mean removes the servers when you don't need them. Meaning, let's say you have an application hosted, and during the weekend the uh, application is being accessed uh, more number of users than during the weekdays. So during the weekends the application utilization is hitting 90%, 95%, and the servers are not able to serve the user requests anymore, and they are actually bleeding, they are dying, resulting the outage of an application. Certainly, if you have the auto scaling configured, auto scaling will continue to monitor your application utilization, or of course on different parameters, network utilization, storage, CPU, memory, and it it adds more number of EC2 instances, and it will bring the servers serving the application automatically. You don't have to do anything manual, right? So during the weekend when more number of users come and hit your website, it adds more number of instances, and on Monday when the utilization is going there, as the number of users are just disconnecting, uh, it remove it removes the additionally added servers from the solution, so that you can save on the costing as well. That's the auto scaling. That's where you have to design the reusable components, and there is a lot of engineering that you need to do at that area. We will do that practically, I'm telling you guys, practically. I'll deploy, I mean I'll create an AMI, and then to that AMI, uh, we deploy a sample application, and then I'll try to simulate more load on that sample application, and that will cause the application to bleed at 90 or 95, and we configure actions. If the CPU utilization of the server hits 90%, you auto scaling should add one more instance to it. So that's how the live demonstration is going to be. From there we go to RDS, which is a database service. It's a 2 days class, right? It's more about, I'll take it very basic, as in the basics program we did not talk about the databases. Here I'll take it very basic. Maybe what is a database? Two type of databases, like relational databases and NoSQL databases. In the relational databases we have two type of transactions again, that's OLTP and OLAP, online transaction processing and online analytics processing, right? These are the type of database instances that you can have. What different type of databases, different engines that are part of the databases, and most importantly, AWS provides you managed database services, meaning you don't have to install, I mean configure the physical server or nor the virtual machine, don't have to install OS, don't have to install a database instance, I mean database software, don't have to maintain it. Instead, AWS will do all that for you, and they will maintain it. They will do the backups, they will do replication, they will do failover, failback. Everything is handled by AWS. You just have to connect your application, start use it. Okay, that way it saves a lot of time of yours, and it'll you can, so that you can focus more on the application development and optimization than spending your time on the database and its daily activities. Okay, that's where database is one area that people are becoming very alert, that down the line next couple of years you will not see any database engineers, at least not at a number that you see today. Elastic Beanstalk is a sample, I mean it's a self application healing application in self application healing environment, that it automatically deploys the EC2 instances, ELB, auto scaling, CloudWatch, whatever you discussed so far can automatically deployed by this service. You just have to upload a piece of code. That's all you have to do. It's beauty. It's not part of the solution architect nor part of your system operations administrator, but this service is part of your certified developer program. But I still grab it here and put it in the order where it makes sense, because if all the services are automatically deployed by Elastic Beanstalk and this service is being used by the developer, and you never know about it, it's like tomorrow there may be a situation when you have to talk to your developer, and then he says, hey, there is something already available with which I'll be able to do things automatically, and you should be able to demonstrate the difference between he doing it automatically or you getting it done from the infrastructure standpoint, how it benefits him and all that, right? That's where it is one session or one day class about Elastic Beanstalk. CloudFormation is more about the DevOps tool. uh, Guys, understand here, like I said, this course is designed not to cover the blueprint of the certification program, but to cover from a job gaining standpoint, from a survival standpoint. So CloudFormation is a topic from the DevOps, which is considered as infrastructure as a code. I know most of you guys don't like the programming, but yes, this is an option always. Okay, so with CloudFormation templates, you should be able to deploy all the services that I said, uh, repetitively. Let's say in India, you deployed an application environment, and in US regions, you wanted to deploy the same application environment, but you do not wanted to uh, do them manually. Certainly you can create CloudFormation templates which will deploy all the components n number of times automatically in the form of code. From there we will get on to the architecting on AWS, which is to give you few scenarios on a basic application or a complex application that do not have the best practices at all, and then we will walk through with the knowledge that you have gained so far. We will walk through the solution, and I'll tell you, hey, this is how we need to add high availability to the solution, this is how you can add fault tolerance to it, this is how we can add uh, rapid provisioning, this is how we can add self-healing, this is how we can add the monitoring, more secured environment by editing the security groups and etc. So that's a kind of knowledge that you gain here. It's more about the real-time scenarios and the application architecture that you get much familiar with in this particular exercise. This is 1 day class. From there we do a live project, which is 2 days class, by deploying a WordPress application with the database failover, file failback, identity and access management, monitoring, auto scaling, ELB, whatnot. By putting all these things and knowledge of the architecting on AWS session, we deploy a WordPress application, and that will be the end of the class of ours. That will be end of the training that you're gonna do here with me. Okay, so this is a training, the detailed training and the roadmap of the services that we're gonna go through, and there are few services that I did not specify here, but yes, services like CloudFront, SNS, SQS, SWF. So there are many other components that are the small components that are touched upon here in the slide, but yes, we're gonna cover them as well. And from here, now you got to know about basics, everything you need to know to start with AWS. And this training program is actually targeting both certified solution architect and certified system operations administrator, right? So the training is complete, and then it's actually 50 hours of training, 1.5 hours to 2 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. So 5 days in general, 5 working days, and 6th day, that is Saturday, is a mutual understanding. The classes will happen as per the Indian Standard Time every day at 6 a.m. IST. And then you will be provided with the student manuals to read about the topic that we have discussed from the basics area until the AWS concept. Anup, I saw your question. Hold on with your question until end of this slide, and I'll tell you.
Sure, no problem.
Yep. And then you will be provided with the lab assistance. I'll practically demonstrate you the things in the class. That how can you do the labs and the detailed explanation, and then you will also be provided with the lab guides, which are the high level steps, the PDF documents with high level steps, so that you just can go there and do your labs. And if at all you have any questions, you certainly can ask me in the next day session, maybe before or after the class. I mean, I've seen people pinging me on the WhatsApp window that sir, this is what the problem I'm facing. Yes, I'm very much happy to answer all your questions even on the WhatsApp as well, but I at least conduct 4 to 5 different classes in a day, in a month. It happens regularly. That includes DevOps, Azure, AWS, and virtualization, NetApp storage. So if everybody start pings me on chat window, it becomes a bit of difficult for me to answer them. But yeah, for sure, 200%, I wanted to answer all your questions, and I want you all guys to be perfect, no doubt about it. But whenever I get a time, I'll answer your questions on the chat window. But preferred way is to clarify your doubts in interactive classes that we do, every day in the morning. Okay, because I give you enough time to ask questions, and upon all your questions clarified, I'll exit from the class, no doubt about it. And then you, like I said, you'll be provided with 500 sample questions so that you can register either of the certifications, that is solution architect or system operations administrator. And again, I mean, you should be able to clear the certification, or else, like I said earlier, part of the demo, I can get your certifications done from India as well. No matter where you are, which part of the country you are now, as long as you are an Indian citizen, yes, your certification can be done from India. And you are also covered in retake policy. Remember that. Like I said, you can retake the course for the second time for free of cost. Uh, and uh, and I can also help you with interviews and the job support. Meaning, I'll help you how the interviews are going to be and how uh, what kind of work you may get. At times, if you have any issue in your work, you can get back to me by calling me or by doing WhatsApp. But don't expect on a regular support every day when you go to work. Don't ask me, maybe dozens of questions. But yes, once in a while, maybe once in a week or once in a month of time, if you have any question, you certainly can do WhatsApp. But I know a few of my friends do the commercial support, that they'll provide you the regular support, uh, and then they will help you do your jobs. But I can patch you if at all you're looking for it. I'll patch you. But I don't do it. At least don't expect me. Don't claim that, sir, part of the training you said you will do the job support, right? So that's the training program that I have. You can ask me any questions you if you have or you wanted to. I see a question from Anup, and he is asking, do you mean cloud formation can be used create multiple environments, example development, testing, test to sandbox, etc.? Yes, you're right, Anup. You can create. There are two services that can be used to achieve this kind of end result. One is the Elastic Beanstalk. Like I said, it is a self application healing environment. The components that are required uh, will be deployed automatically, and with that, without any additional manual work, you should be able to simulate the same environment. You can test your application functionality, and you just can terminate the test environment, so that you don't have to pay for your test environment for the entire month or year. So, or else the cloud formation is considered, infrastructure is considered as a code. So once you write a skeleton, let's say deploy a VPC, right? And it all depends on how good you are in programming, because you don't have to hard code things like VPC name is this, subnet size must be this, or etc etc. But you instead you can ask those inputs from the user, like what should be the name or subnet, etc etc. That way you should be able to deploy a single component or the group of components with a single runbook of the cloud formation. So did I answer your question, Anup?
Yeah, sounds good. And one more thing, I think I might have missed two topics, right? You covered the last two, architecting on AWS and the project. Architecting, you'll be taking that topic Monday, right? One class.
One class, right? Right.
And project will be?
Two classes.
Two classes. And on those, the first one, architecting on AWS, I was just wondering what you're planning to cover in that. And also in project, what are you going to do there?
So architecting on AWS, like you said, I'll try to put an application. Let's say I'll give you a visual diagram, and I'll tell you this is a sample application. So with since it is going to be end of the training, very last two classes or three classes, I'll ask you. By that time, you've got the entire topic knowledge, starting from EC2 until the RDS and the other topics. So I would ask you, hey, what would make this solution better than what it is now, right? So that way, with your inputs and my input, we will maybe convert that visual diagram into something else that is very perfect. That way, we do one or two exercises, uh, so that you get the functional level knowledge of what to consider when to deploy an application. And we will apply the same knowledge in deploying a WordPress application practically, to deploy it and to demonstrate. That's the idea. Okay.
Venkat, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm curiosity to know what is the daily activities or daily job roles and responsibilities. If you take a storage or backup admin, we used to like allocate the storage, and as a backup admin, you have to take the backups and do the restores when the client requires. So in the same scenario, so how the AWS job roles and responsibility in terms of daily?
See, as long as you are associate level engineer or associate level certified engineer, your roles and responsibilities are going to be a system administrator in the cloud. So like you said, in a traditional data center environment, you have roles like networking, backup, storage, server admin, database admin. But in the cloud, it will be a single person who will be handling all these verticals. So the guy has to support the daily operations of your cloud environment. Let's say if you have to add more storage to a server, you have to do it. Or if somebody wanted to perform a backup of a server, you have to do it. If somebody wanted to configure additional security port groups to a server, you have to do it. So just to make sure that you support for the regular activities, be it the new deployment of a new server or new environment deployment or troubleshooting on the existing environment, maybe add more resources to the same EC2 instance, monitoring it, providing access control. So this is all going to be your daily duties.
Okay, okay.
So Ravi R is asking, can you support prepare resumes? Yes, I'll give you some sample resumes so that you can prepare your resumes. Yep. Any other questions? No? Yes? Okay. So I like more. I like the interactive classes. Don't hesitate asking me questions. Don't feel like if I ask this question, how is he gonna respond, or is he going to think something X Y Z stuff? Don't think in that way. Feel free to ask more questions so that your question may be helpful to the others as well. Yeah, Ramesh.
Venkat, yeah, do you have any separate softwares that do we need to install on our local desktop, or how the practical lab sessions will be happen?
You do not have to install any software on your machine because AWS will not give you any software bundle to simulate at your desktop and do it. But everything is hosted in AWS data centers. You just have to create your free account with them, and then you should be able to do the practicals. However, there are softwares like Putty, maybe Python, any other programming language tools that you may like need to be installed just to interact with the AWS interface like Python or Putty.
Okay. But you mean to say like for the practical sessions, no need to install any software. Like we have to create a free account in AWS. Am I correct?
That's all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody is asking on the chat window, are you going to cover Lambda? So far it is not, but yeah, I'm trying to add that in the course outline because I have to bring a balancing of the fees, course fees, and the number of hours I deliver. It's already crossing 50 hours, so I can do that. But yes, if I keep adding more number of services, right? So for AWS, I've got some 78 or 80 services. If I keep adding them, the number of hours would go high, and then if I start asking you 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, you're gonna stare at me. But if I get some time, I'll definitely demonstrate you Lambda as well. But as of now, it's not part of the course outline. Yes, Anjali, go on. Okay, yeah. How do we access management console? So these are all the questions answered as we make progress to the course. Uh, yes, there is a URL that you need to type in the address bar, that is console.aws.amazon.com, and there you have to create a free account by giving your personal information, credit card information. They will not charge you anything. They may deduct 1 USD, and then that is refunded to you. That will be refunded to you, uh, and then uh, and then you should be able to access management console using your web browser, or you should also be able to control AWS services using the Python management console, the Python command line interface. That's called AWS CLI. Any other questions?
Venkat, this is Ramesh.
Yes, Ramesh.
Do we cover these backup things like S3 backup and Glazer backup and other things in this course?
Yes, we do. That is part of S3. So, I mean, backup is part of all services. That is part of your EC2, EBS, EC2, your databases. So, backup is part of almost, 4 or 5 services that we're going to cover. So, yeah, wherever we go to the backup level, I'll talk about it and I'll show you how to cover the backups.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Yeah, unfortunately, they're supposed to join at least another 5 to 6 people part of this class, and I'm wondering they are not. I'll try to contact them today, and then tomorrow, hopefully from tomorrow, we will continue at the same schedule. Thanks a lot for joining me today, and see if any of your friends, colleagues are interested to join this class. Yeah, somebody is asking about the SNS and SQS. Yes, Anup, we cover SNS and SQS. SNS is theoretical and practical too. SQS and CloudFront SWF, that is simple workflow service, are more of a theory, not the practical. You all can refer to the course outline that I sent to you, the detailed course outline. There I've mentioned almost all topics that we're going to cover part of the training. You can look at them. And yeah, I'll try to give this video access. I'll upload it to Google Drive, and I'll give you access so that they can pass on this information to your friends so that they can also watch it. Yeah, Ramesh.
And final question, Venkat. So how the documents will be shared on the class by class, or you will be sending weekly once the documents will be shared?
So
Like if you completed today, please,
yeah,
please.
yeah, good question. So once you paid me, there is a Google Drive folder which has got everything in it. It is a repository, a sample resumes, product documentation, white papers, uh, student manuals, the lab reference architectures, everything is in that folder, and I give you access right away on that folder so that you can download the entire folder, which is about few hundreds of size, and then you can use it. I'll not share it on a class by class manner, but it is given to you. Full access is given to you day one when you pay.
Okay, fine. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you guys. I hope you all are part of the WhatsApp group. If not, feel free to ping me on WhatsApp so that I'll add you. That will be a single communication channel that we use. Though we have mails, but WhatsApp is more effective, as you guys know. Thank you for joining me today again, and I'll see you from tomorrow, the same schedule.
Thanks, Venkat.
Yeah, so Mahidhar is asking about recordings. Recordings are not shared, Mahidhar. Recordings are not allowed. That's where you have retake policy. You can retake the course for second time for free of cost. But yes, on a given day, if you miss any class, let me know in advance so that I'll record and I'll give you a temporary access to the recording. But on a regular basis, recordings are not given. Thank you.